Our story begins at the Royal School of Dylan. A voice calls out, "Attention, everyone! As you all know, we are living in the age of heroes. It has been 5,000 years since the hero record first appeared in our world. And in that time, the lower world has undergone countless changes. This year, the Royal School of Dylan has been chosen to host the Lumine entrance examination." The speaker continues, "I have no doubt that some among you have the makings of a hero and will pass the entrance exam, earning a place in history. But to achieve that, you must pay attention in class." His voice sharpens as he spots a student dozing off. Leo jolts awake. The teacher smirks and says, "Since you seem so confident in your knowledge that my lecture puts you to sleep, answer this. 5,000 years ago, what ritual did one have to undergo to be called a hero?" Leo rises from his seat. "Well, if you just made a name for yourself, people would worship you naturally." The class murmurs. Leo, a 15-year-old from the House of Plav, stands nonchalantly. The teacher sighs. "Anyone else willing to answer?" A student with red hair raises his hand. In ancient times, there was no formal way to be acknowledged by the gods, so holy rituals were used to select heroes. A prime example is the ritual of blood. "Excellent," the teacher praises. "As expected of you, Gulliver Trot-on, the greatest magic genius of our kingdom. We have high hopes for you in the upcoming Lumine entrance exam." Leo, however, scoffs internally. Meeting a god was a piece of cake back then. Holy ritual, my ass. The hero record was a miracle gifted by the gods to honor those who faced Erebos. So why am I the only one forgotten? Suddenly, students rush to the windows, exclaiming, "They're here. Look, it's the emblem of the Zerdinger clan." An announcement echoes through the school. All students are to gather in the auditorium for a mandated assembly. The Zerdinger clan has arrived. Gulliver turns to Leo. "Are you going to try and impress the Zerdingers?" Leo shrugs. "Unlike you, I have no interest in things like that." He leaves the room. Gulliver chuckles. "Me neither. I'm just curious about Celia. She's my rival, after all." Later, back at the House of Plav, Leo trains with his staff, panting. He thinks to himself that part of it is diligent training, but this body is far better than the one I had in my previous life, he muses. A voice interrupts his thoughts. What is he so deep in thought? A woman with black hair and red eyes lunges at him with a sword. Leo barely blocks her strike. "Ambushing me out of nowhere. That's crazy. It's been a while since we sparred," she replies. "Lackluster training won't cut it for Lumine. This is your final test." She presses the attack. "Should I go harder?" With a powerful swing, she sends him flying back. Leo grumbles. "Aren't you being a little too rough, mother?" She smirks. "You say that, yet you're blocking everything." She lunges again, but mid-strike she hesitates. "Am I striking too hard? What if he can't dodge?" At the last second, Leo sidesteps, countering effortlessly. His mother, now on the ground, stares in shock. How far does this child's talent go? Aloud, she asks, "Leo, are you still set on attending Lumine? The Human Hero Academy?" Leo thinks. Among the 4 hero academies, it's the one most likely to hold remnants of my record. He answers firmly, "Of course." She sighs. The Zerdinger clan is visiting Dylan. They'll be staying at our mansion. Though I don't want to, I'll ask Z's for a favor. As their vice patriarch, he might be willing to teach you the Zerdinger aura technique. With that, you'd be strong enough to gain admission next year. Leo's eyes gleam. The Zerdinger aura technique. But he silently resolves, "Mother, I intend to be admitted this year." At the Plav mansion, knights arrive, one even riding a griffin. A girl steps out of a carriage, heels clicking against the ground. Why does Uncle want to stay here? He could have rented an entire hotel. Celia Zerdinger, 15 years old and known as the Sword Princess, sighs. "I wanted to focus on the Lumine exam. Why visit such a small family?" A voice teases, "Celia, aren't you curious about Leo? The one who claimed to have no interest in the Zerdinger clan?" The speaker is Z's Zerdinger, vice patriarch of the clan. Celia scoffs. If he's a knight hopeful but can't even use aura yet, he's probably unimpressive. Z's chuckles. "I don't think that'll be the case." Inside the mansion, Z's bows. "It is an honor to meet you, Lady Plav. Reina Plav, matriarch of the house, greets him. Welcome, Z. Zerdinger. Celia steps forward. My name is Celia Zerdinger. Thank you for opening your home to us. Reina smiles. It's nice to meet you, Celia. But as she studies the girl's features, a realization dawns on her. Black hair, red eyes. Could she be of our lineage? Ziz continues. Before coming here, we visited the Royal School of Dylan. It was chaotic with students rushing around, but Leo had already gone home. He wasn't interested. Reina chuckles. A hit to the mighty pride of the Zerdingers? Apologies if my son's behavior seemed disrespectful. He's only interested in training. Ziz asks, what kind of child is Leo? Reina responds, unbelievably talented. Ziz smirks. Elder sister, do you truly believe Leo is worthy of inheriting the Zerdinger flame? I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it, she replies. He is genuinely worthy. Ziz nods. If you say so, then I must test him myself. At that moment, Leo and Celia stand face to face, swords drawn, ready to spar. Inside the training hall, Leo sat cross-legged in meditation. A metal band on his wrist glowed with a faint blue aura. As he opened his eyes and looked down at it, he murmured, finally, a vessel able to hold it. Everything is complete. The reason I hadn't learned aura yet. He thought to himself, the moment I accept aura into my body, it naturally adapts to that energy, locking away the opportunity to accumulate mana and soul energy. In my past life, if I had complete control over those powers, I wouldn't have left behind the seeds of disaster. But in this life, I'll master it perfectly. First comes aura. Before he could continue, a voice interrupted. You're Leo Plav, right? Leo turned to see Celia standing nearby, arms crossed. She studied him for a moment before remarking, you seem to have a decent grasp of the basics. I'll personally guide you in swordsmanship. What do you think? Plus, I can earn some points with Aunt Reina, she thought to herself. Leo raised an eyebrow. And you are? She smirked. Celia Zerdinger. The world calls me the Sword Princess. Is that so? Well, thanks for the offer, but I have no interest in receiving guidance from someone less skilled than me. Her eyes narrowed. Are you saying you're stronger than me? In a fight to the death? Probably not, since I can't use aura. But if we're talking purely swordsmanship, that's a different story. Celia's red eyes flashed with irritation as she turned toward the weapon rack. Grabbing a sword, she pointed it at him. Fine. If you're that confident, then spar with me. He thinks just learning aura will make him my equal? I should teach him the harshness of reality. She added with a smirk. If I win, you'll be my servant for the duration of my stay. Leo tilted his head. And if I win? Celia's grin widened. Then I'll be your servant. Leo picked up a sword, his expression calm. Then let's start right away. He lunged first to strike swift. Celia blocked with ease. Not bad, but it's not enough. She countered with a powerful swing, their swords clashing. Leo quickly adjusted, charging up his next blow and striking down with unexpected force. Celia barely managed to deflect, but the impact sent her skidding backward. What kind of strength is this? The ground cracked beneath her. Leo pressed the attack with a sharp thrust. I can't block this, she realized. At the last second, she instinctively activated aura armor to shield herself. Leo paused. Aura armor? I thought this was purely swordsmanship. It was just a reflex, she said, catching her breath. He smirked. It doesn't matter. I'll win regardless. She scoffed. Controlling aura is like the difference between heaven and earth. Leo unbuckled his bracelet and tossed it aside. Shall we test that theory? Celia's eyes widened. Why was he wearing magic wave restrictors? Before she could process it, Leo lunged again. This time, his strike shattered her aura armor in an instant. As she was flung backward, her consciousness faded. How does someone have this much brute strength? He's insane. Elsewhere in the garden, Ziz and Reina walked together. Spotting Leo, Reina called out, Leo, come introduce yourself. We have a guest. Leo bowed slightly. I'm Leo Plav. Z stepped forward with an outstretched hand. I'm Ziz Zerdinger. You may already know, but I'm your uncle. It's nice to meet you. Leo shook his hand, nodding. Ziz glanced around. Have you met Celia yet? Leo turned his head just in time to see Celia being carried off on a stretcher by guards. One of the knights muttered, "Young Miss Celia is out cold." Ziz's gaze darkened. "What happened?" Leo shrugged. Ziz turned back to him. "For you to defeat Celia. How impressive. She underestimated me," Leo replied simply. "And what was the bet?" "The loser becomes the servant of the winner," Leo said. "So, Celia Zerdinger is my maid for the next week." A heavy silence followed. Ziz exhaled sharply. Keeping one's word is important, but Celia is a member of the Zerdinger family. You cannot order her to do maid's work. His tone was firm. "I hope you will rescind the promise. Instead, I can offer you something else as a reward. For example, I refuse." Leo cut him off. Ziz's eyes narrowed. "This was an agreement between Celia and me," Leo continued. "As long as she carries the Zerdinger name, she must take responsibility for her words." Ziz's expression darkened. "Even though I was willing to teach you the Zerdinger aura breathing method?" Leo smiled faintly. "If the offer was given as a reward for defeating Celia, I would have gladly accepted. However, you're offering it to erase Celia's loss. That implies you believe she only lost because she let her guard down. But even if she had fought me seriously, the outcome would have been the same." Ziz studied Leo carefully. He rejected the offer because he didn't like how I framed it. Finally, he sighed. "What an outstanding child. If only he were born a Zerdinger." Turning to the guards, he commanded, "Send Celia to the maid's quarters." Then, looking at Leo, he added, "Leo." "Yes. In informal settings, you may call me Uncle." Leo nodded. "Understood, Uncle." The next morning, in Leo's quarters, Celia entered, her expression unreadable. "I am Celia," she said stiffly. "The maid who will be in charge of you for the next week, young Master Leo." Celia introduced herself, a faint blush crossing her face. Leo smirked. "It suits you. Who would have thought that someone as fancy as you would look so good in plain-made clothes? The combination is sensational." Irritated, Celia clenched her fists. "I know I'm beautiful, but if you say it like that, I'll get angry." Leo shrugged. "I didn't mean to upset you. Sorry. I have a friend who praises beauty excessively. His habits must have rubbed off on me. He used to say, 'The beauty of the eternal is unparalleled.' If peace returns to this world, I will spend my life spreading beauty to everyone." Celia chuckled. "You have a cool friend who knows how to appreciate beauty." Leo thought to himself. His problem was that he was too honest. He used to say, "Although she's aggressive, Dionysus is more beautiful than anyone. And Luna as well. For the sake of art, please become my nude models." He even brought a sketchbook. Dionysus and Luna proceeded to beat him up. Celia, puzzled, thought, "Is that some kind of training book?" "What are you reading?" she asked. Leo glanced at the book in his hands. "I used to read a lot when I was young. The great hero of the beginning." Celia's eyes widened. Memories of her 5-year-old self flashed through her mind. "That's a storybook," she muttered, walking toward the bookshelf. She examined the titles. "It seems like you really like the great hero of the beginning. The average researcher of the great hero probably can't compare to you." Leo smiled. "I was just collecting, and it ended up like this." Celia reached for a book. "But there are a lot of books about Kyle." Leo nodded. "Among everything the great heroes did, there are many achievements that can't be attributed to a single hero. I believe most of those belong to Kyle." Celia chuckled. "He was probably a scammer who claimed their achievements as his own." Leo raised an eyebrow. "Kyle, really? That's what most people think," Celia replied. "Of course, I think the same." Leo muttered under his breath. "So that's what most people think of me." What did you say?" Celia asked. Leo brushed it off. "Shall we eat breakfast and start training?" Celia hesitated before asking, "Young master, if you allow me, could I train with you?" She thought to herself, "I'm going to discover the secret behind his strength." Leo smirked. "It might be hard for you to keep up." "Are you sure?" Celia scowled. "I am Celia Zerdinger. Of course, I can keep up." During training, Celia collapsed, gasping for air. Leo observed. When your stamina reaches its limit, your reaction speed slows, and more gaps appear in your movements. When that happens, You leave your back exposed, just like now. Celia groaned. Abusing the body like this. Is this really helpful for training? Leo nodded. Yes. I think young people these days are far too weak. He thought to himself, compared to the past, aura techniques have developed considerably. That must be why people stop focusing on body training. But if you train your body, aura is also enhanced. Celia, despite her exhaustion, pointed her sword at Leo, signaling for more. Don't underestimate me, she shouted. She lunged at him. You damn white-haired bastard. With a single swift strike, Leo knocked her back, her sword flying far from her grasp. She fell to the ground. Why? Why can't I win? She muttered. It's hard, right? Leo handed her a silver bracelet. Here, take this. Thanks, she said, but the moment it touched her hand, she collapsed under its weight. Leo grinned. It's a bracelet with weight magic. Starting tomorrow, wear it during training. Later that day at the training field, Celia called out, Stop. From a distance, Z's watched, arms crossed. This will be a good experience for her. Before going to Lumen, it might be good for her to crumble at least once. He called out, Leo. Leo approached. Hello, Uncle. Z spoke seriously. Leo, I'm thinking of asking the Patriarch to allow you to inherit Phoenix's breath. Leo's eyes widened. Phoenix's breath? Is he talking about the Zerdinger family's origin aura technique? I heard only those truly recognized within the family can inherit it. Celia interjected. Father won't accept this easily. Z's nodded. That's why there's a condition. You must pass the Lumen entrance exam. Celia was stunned. What? The Lumen entrance exam is an actual fight. Uncle, a brat that can't even use aura. It'll be far too dangerous for him. Leo smirked. A real fight experience? Yeah. I don't think I've had that in this lifetime. Z's asked, What do you think, Leo? Leo hesitated. What about father and mother's opinion? Z smiled. Let's say they go along with your decision. Leo nodded. Then I'll do it. Z smirked. As expected, he was planning on taking this year's exam anyway. Leo turned to Celia. Since we took a short break, shall we continue? Celia glared at him. Do you think I won't be able to keep up? She chased after him as he resumed training. A week later, on the day of the Lumen entrance exam, other examinees whispered amongst themselves. It's Celia Zerdinger. I never imagined I'd see the Sword Princess here. But who's the guy next to her? Celia turned to Leo. Are you nervous, young master? Leo shook his head. Not at all. But shouldn't you fix that way of speaking? Oops, she said, smiling. A voice called out. Celia. She turned to see Gulliver approaching. He sneered at Leo. Leo Plav, what are you doing here? You can't even handle aura. Then, turned to Celia, he grinned. Miss Celia, it's been a while. How have you been? Celia and Leo ignored him. Gulliver huffed. I'm Gulliver. Last time you visited the school, I greeted you. I'm known as Dylan's greatest magic genius. Celia gave him a blank stare. I'm sorry, but I don't remember you at all. Grabbing Leo's hand, she pulled him away. I'm off. Another voice called out. Celia. Celia turned and immediately tensed. Two figures approached. Abad Lewin, 16 years old, of the Lewin family. Chelsea Lewin, 14 years old, also of the Lewin family. They both smiled. Long time no see, Celia. As the Llewellyn twins approached, Leo turned to Celia and asked, Who are they? Celia clenched her fist. They're the Llewellyn siblings, descendants of the same hero lineage from the Luogene Empire. The children of the Llewellyn family. They'll be taking the test with us, which means we absolutely can't lose to them, Leo. The Zerdinger clan must not fall behind the Llewellyn family. Leo raised an eyebrow. But I'm from the Plav family. Before Celia could respond, Abad Llewellyn greeted her. Long time no see, Celia. Yes, long time no see, Abad Llewellyn, she replied coolly. His eyes flicked to Leo. And who's this? This is Leo from the House of Plav, Celia introduced. A noble family within the kingdom of Dalid. Chelsea scoffed. A small fry, I see. She and Leo locked eyes, a silent battle of wills passing between them. Abad smirked. The top spot will surely be mine, Celia. Come on, Chelsea. With that, the twins turned and walked away. Celia clicked her tongue. Those arrogant jerks. I'll make sure to crush them thoroughly. Just then, a commanding voice rang out. It seems everyone is gathered here. The examinees turned to see a man standing before them. Albie Zerone, a professor at Lumen Academy. Celia's eyes widened. No way. He's the sorcerer of Mon. Leo frowned. Who is that guy? Celia looked at him like he was an idiot. Seriously? You don't know? He's a hero recorded in the hero record. Leo's mind churned. So, he's one of those people they call heroes in this era. As he studied Albie, something caught his eye. The mana in his left eye. It's definitely special. Albie's voice cut through Leo's thoughts. The entrance exam consists of one-on-one combat and monster subjugation. Each person takes turns. He suddenly clenched his fist, and the exam papers in his hand burned to ashes. Tossing them aside, he pulled out a book from his coat pocket. A golden notification appeared. A golden orb swirled around Albie, followed by another notification. A magic circle expanded, enveloping the entire room and every student inside. Albie's palm radiated golden light. I hate inefficiency, he declared, so I'll combine everything and proceed all at once. Leo barely reacted, unfazed by the theatrics. He recalled a lesson from his professors at Dellen. The hero record isn't just a historical record. Its true value lies in its ability to manifest a hero's world, replicating the experiences of past heroes. By attaining hero worlds, one can inherit the power of a previous hero. Leo's eyes narrowed. So, it's basically a hero training system, huh? A blinding flash filled his vision, and when he reopened his eyes, he found himself in a vast forest. A voice echoed through the air. Welcome to the wild forest. The objective is simple: survive. Whether you join forces or eliminate each other, do whatever it takes. If you wish to forfeit, simply break the orb you're holding. That is all. Leo glanced around. Where's that voice coming from? He surveyed the landscape. This place. It looks the same. This was once an elven forest before it was polluted by the witch queen, Salatna. A panicked cry shattered the moment. What is this? It's scary. I want to go home. A student scoffed. This is just an illusion. How pathetic. Leo's eyes darkened. Wrong. While this world comes from the examiner's memories, everything that happens here is real. The dangers here could kill someone for good. A sudden movement in the shadows made him instinctively dodge. An arrow, glowing green with mana, whizzed past where his head had been just moments before. A figure emerged from the forest. We've met before, haven't we? Chelsea Llewellyn smirked. I'm glad I get to eliminate someone from Zierdinger. Leo remained unfazed. I'm from the Plav family, not Zierdinger. Chelsea's eyes glinted. But you were with Celia earlier, weren't you? A blue aura gathered in her right palm. Whimsical, a curved blade of wind materialized in her hand. Leo observed calmly. That spell didn't exist in the past, but the principle seemed the same. Chelsea twirled the sickle above her head before launching it toward Leo. He raised his sword and deflected it with ease. The wind blade spun away harmlessly. Chelsea's eyes widened. Did he just block it? She narrowed her gaze. I didn't sense him using aura. Is it a type of aura that's hard to detect? Leo tilted his head. That attack was too simple. Chelsea's brow twitched. Why don't we join forces instead? Leo suggested. The one who survives the longest gets the most points. As a sorceress, you need to pass at least one test, don't you? Chelsea chuckled. Unfortunately for you, I'm a battle mage. A greenish aura surged around her. You said my attack was too simple, right? Leo smirked. For wind magic, that was way too straightforward. Chelsea's eyes flared. Are you trying to lecture me about magic? I'm a direct descendant of the Llewellyn family. Know your place. She raised her hand, summoning another whimsical alongside a wind arrow. She hurled both at Leo, but when she looked up, he was gone. What? Chelsea panicked. I can't sense his mana at all. Why? Before she could react, Leo appeared before her, his fist cocked back. Her mind screamed at her to move, but it was too late. His punch connected, sending her flying. Her whimsical shattered. She crashed to the ground, coughing. Leo smirked. Shall I politely ask you to join forces with me again? Meanwhile, In the Lumen Academy Broadcasting Center, students and professors watched the live feed in shock. Whoa! It's finally started. The broadcast zoomed in on Chelsea, tied to a post with green vines wrapped around her. Below her, Leo crouched by a fire, an evil smirk on his face. As Leo begins to light the fire beneath Chelsea, she wakes up in shock, screaming, "What is this?" Leo calmly asks, "Are you going to cooperate with me?" Chelsea glares at him. "Never. I don't need anyone other than my brother." She attempts to summon a sickle, but a red magic circle appears around her wrist, stopping her. Leo smirks. "It's a skill that restricts magic," he explains, thinking to himself, "I don't have much mana, so it won't last long." Chelsea scoffs. "I can get out of this without magic." "It doesn't matter." Leo smirks. "Do you think I'll let you focus on that?" He grabs a green vine. Chelsea's eyes widen. "Wait!" she yells as the fire beneath her begins to grow. "Stop! It's hot!" Her clothes start to singe. Leo's voice remains steady. "Cooperate." Chelsea hesitates before gritting her teeth. "Fine, I will." "Swear on your family's name." Chelsea exhales sharply. "I swear on the Llewellyn family name that I'll cooperate." Leo thinks to himself, kids are so easy to manipulate. He releases her from the post and catches her in his arms. "Nice to meet you, Mage of Llewellyn." Back at the broadcasting center, students watch the ongoing battles. Albie analyzes the competitors and thinks to himself, none of them are up to standard. Choosing to fight each other was foolish. The only ones who got straight to the point were Celia Zerdinger and Abad Llewellyn. The Republic's future will be bright. Then, he notices Chelsea and Leo working together. Leo Plav, was it? That fire stunt was immature, but getting Chelsea Llewellyn to cooperate warrants a passing grade. Leo lacks the power and grace of Celia and Abad, but he's an unexpected dark horse. A blue arrow pierces an orc's stomach, followed by a sword slicing off its head. Leo lands on the ground, and Chelsea comments, "I gotta say, going along with the night makes things pretty comfortable." "Let me ask something. What aura are you using?" "I haven't detected any mana from it." Leo shrugs. "I don't know how to use aura." Chelsea frowns. "Then how did you do that without aura?" As with anything, a good foundation is important. Take wind magic, for example. What do you think its foundation is? Chelsea's eyes glow with a bluish aura, and she notices something in the corner of her eye. "Windbreaker!" she shouts, sending an attack at a lurking monster, killing it instantly. She glares at Leo. "How insolent of you to speak of wind magic in front of a Llewellyn." Leo chuckles. "You have power, I'll give you that. But you used it wrong." Chelsea growls. "You're really getting on my nerves." Suddenly, Leo's instincts kick in. The hairs on his neck stand up. "Wait, stop." He kneels, about aura flickering around him. Chelsea examines the scene. They look like mummies. Leo nods. "I've seen things like this before." He narrows his eyes. "I understand now. The conditions to pass this test are different." His eyes widen. At the last second, he grabs Chelsea and dodges a sudden blast. A voice sneers so close. "We need to get rid of Chelsea Llewellyn first. The other guy is a nobody." Gullivan emerges from the shadows, smirking. Attack together. Leo clenches his fists, his eyes flashing red as a small horn peeks from his temple. He punches the first attacker, knocking him out instantly. Gullivan is caught off guard. "Watch my back, Chelsea," Leo commands. Chelsea nods. "Okay, I will." Gullivan yells. "What are you waiting for? Get them." The other boys charge, but Leo's eyes gleam with a blue aura as he counters their assault. Later, Gullivan is seen running, panting. "I can't go out like this. I just need to find another party." Celia spots him. "Isn't that guy Gullivan?" She turns to Abad. "Let's go this way." They walk toward where he came from and stop in shock. The ground is littered with unconscious students and defeated monsters. Chelsea rushes forward. "Brother." Abad pulls her into a hug. "I'm happy you're safe, Chelsea." Celia eyes Leo suspiciously. "Why are you two together?" Leo grins. "I suggested we cooperate." Celia scoffs. "There's no way that stubborn girl agreed." Leo's smirk deepens. "I convinced her." Celia's eyes narrow. "What did you do?" Leo ignores her and picks up the unconscious boys. Chelsea frowns. Why are you helping them? Leo sighs. We don't need to fight anymore. We'll beat this world together. Chelsea repeats, beat this world. Leo nods. There's an anomaly in the wild forest. Look at those corpses. It's like their moisture was sucked out. And that's not all. Where are all the other monsters? Celia's face falls. Wow, you're right. It's like they're afraid of something. Leo nods. A high-tier monster must have appeared and scared them off. Abad's expression hardens. I see. So our first feat is defeating a high-tier monster. Suddenly, Leo's body tenses. A sinister black aura pulses from deeper in the forest. The pressure throws Abad, Chelsea, and Celia off balance. Leo mutters, "It finally revealed itself." Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Golivan trudges forward, his staff raised. "No matter what it takes, I'm gonna make sure you fail, Leo." Then he freezes. There's a body in front of him. He stares at it. What is this? A drop of mucus lands on his staff. He blinks. Another lands on his head. His breath quickens. Slowly, he looks up. A massive spider monster looms above him, its many eyes gleaming in the darkness. At Lumen Academy's broadcast center, students closely watch the developments. One brags, "I took care of 15 or 16 of them." Another adds, "I had about that many as well." Professor Albee observes the screens, stating, "About 500 have failed so far." Another professor interjects, "But, Professor Albee, even so, you still have to pick around 100 students, just like the other regents." Albee remains firm. "There are only 50 left in the test. If they don't meet my standards, I'm willing to fail them all." Headmaster Callian put me in charge of this test knowing that. He thinks to himself, a real hero can only be found in difficult times. His gaze lingers on Leo Ploff. He must have noticed the anomaly in the forest. But can he beat this world? Leo and his group charge toward the ominous aura ahead. One of the boys mutters, "Damn, it's pitch black." Celia stops, sword in hand, her red light emanating from it. Something's up ahead. Get ready. She extends the light toward the darkness, revealing Gullivan trapped inside the jaws of a monstrous spider. What kind of shit is this? Celia hisses. The real one is behind it. Abad begins charging wind magic, preparing to attack. Leo stops him. "Snap out of it, Gulliver. Break the crystal." Straining against the spider's grip, Gulliver sneers. "Leo?" This loser, before finally smashing the crystal, vanishing as he's teleported out of the hero's world. Abad, now refocused, yells, "Wind Fong," launching the spell at the spider. The blast lands, but the spider regenerates almost instantly. Abad grits his teeth. So that wasn't enough. The group is thrown off by the sheer size of the creature. Leo narrows his eyes. "Like I thought, it's the spider princess Tarantula." One of the students leaps into action, axe raised. "Fuck this. Eat this." He swings, only to be swatted aside effortlessly, crashing into the bushes. Celia steps forward, her sword glowing intensely. "I'll finish it in one blow." With a cry of prominence, she blasts a scorching red beam through the spider's head. The head regenerates instantly. "No way," Celia gasps. "How is this possible?" Abad shakes his head. The difference in destructive power between a knight and a mage is like night and day. He raises his staff, summoning a vortex of wind. Raffle. The magic swirls into a sphere, creating a powerful vacuum that sucks in everything around it. He hurls it at the spider, slicing deeply into its body. Suspended midair, Abad surveys the damage. Then his eyes widen. Above me, the spider is airborne, descending rapidly toward him. "Brother!" Chelsea screams, casting Windbreaker. The blast barely gives him time to evade, but not before the spider's claw gashes his arm. Chelsea rushes to him. "Are you okay?" "Yes. Thanks, Chelsea." The swatted-away student groans, still dazed. "What kind of monster is this?" Its regeneration is insane. It's unstoppable. Tarantula looms over them, its eerie aura thickening. Leo mutters, "The daughter of Saladin, Queen of Tartaros." a monster from the Erebus army that razed the elf forest. The others flinch. Tartaros. Leo's thoughts race. Albi's left eye. The mana, and it must be the fairy kings. Tarantula ruled over the cursed wild forest, destroyed the elven lands, and devoured the fairy king's right hand in battle. I thought Luna killed her, but it seems the fairy king's right hand saved her, or rather, the source of infinite life energy within it. The Ring of Life. Abad tightens his grip. If this monster is the key to the test, then I'll defeat it. Celia scoffs. Says who? They attack together, only for their magic to be absorbed. Leo shakes his head. It'll just keep regenerating until you run out of mana. Celia's voice wavers. So what do you suggest, Leo? Two people need to work together. Abad huffs. I refuse. I'm going to be the top scorer. No, it'll be me, Celia snaps. Leo steps forward. If we can't beat the hero's world, everyone fails. Abad and Celia freeze. Even if we work together, it'll take time to prepare an attack strong enough to kill it instantly, Abad concedes. No one except the two of us can stall it that long. Celia crosses her arms, considering. Cersei looks at Leo, nervously awaiting his decision. Leo grins. I'll do it. What? Celia exclaims. That's suicide. You can't even use aura. I know. I just need 5 minutes. Abad frowns. What if the attack fails? Leo confidently picks up the fallen axe. I don't think that will happen. Fire and wind have always been good friends. They work well together. Abad and Celia exchange uncertain glances. Tarantula screeches, preparing another assault. Leo smirks. This reminds me of old times. Bracing himself, he swings the massive axe, severing one of the spider's legs at the joint. Abad and Celia stare in shock as Leo, grinning, hacks through another leg, sending Tarantula sprawling backward. It's been a while, he mutters, gripping the axe tighter. Monster of Tartaros. In a flashback, a blonde-haired elven boy runs away, tears streaming down his face. He stumbles into a spider web, trapping him in place. Desperate, he pleads, "Please, someone save me." As the monstrous spider, Tarantula looms over him, he thanks Mom. Until suddenly, a voice rings out. "Step back, you evil being." A golden light flares, illuminating the surroundings. The boy opens his eyes, stunned. What is this light? An elf wielding a staff steps forward from the background. You dare invade my homeland and devour the right hand of the contractor? She raises her hand, conjuring a massive golden aura. Pointing it at the monstrous tarantula, she releases a powerful blast. The explosion shakes the forest, scattering birds in panic. She mutters, to think Erebo's influence would reach even here. The great hero Kyle approaches the boy caught in the web. Are you okay? Meanwhile, in the present, Leo eyes the monstrous spider, gripping his battle axe. As expected, this is my limit without aura. He shouts, Chelsea. Yes, she responds. Use wind magic to send the surrounding weapons flying toward me. He barely dodges an incoming attack from Tarantula. Chelsea hesitates. If you move so quickly, you'll get hurt. Just hurry. I'll grab them. Chelsea casts her magic, lifting weapons into the air with wind. Leo deflects Tarantula's attack, then leaps upward. Listening closely, he identifies the sound of weapons slicing through the air. A scimitar and a bastard sword. He twists midair, catching both before launching a counterattack. Take these too, he shouts, slicing through multiple of Tarantula's legs in a whirlwind of steel. One after another, his weapons break. Next, Chelsea hurls a dagger, a spear, an axe, any weapon at her disposal. Leo catches and wields them fluidly, throwing everything at the monstrous beast. Watching in awe, Chelsea thinks he's our age, but this looks like the scene of a martial god. Celia and Abad exchange glances, stunned. Abad mutters, so he wasn't just a small fry after all. A cut appears on Leo's cheek, but he remains unfazed. I still have my senses. But if I can't stop a bug like this, those guys will be laughing at me from the afterlife. Gritting his teeth, he tightens his grip on his final sword. Next, he shouts. Chelsea freezes. That was the last one. Leo's eyes widen. What? Just then, Celia shouts, Leo, I finished the preparations. Move. Her body trembles from the immense power she's about to unleash. She smirks. What do you think of this, you damn bug? A combined fire and wind attack erupts toward the monster. In an instant, Tarantula is incinerated. The ring of life clatters to the ground. A notification appears. Albi's World, Chapter, Prologue, Wild Forest has been cleared. Leo's group stands over the remains of Tarantula. Celia collapses, gasping, it's over. She glances at Leo, thinking he really held that thing off for 5 whole minutes. Before she could say another word, Chelsea cuts in. That was amazing. You look just like a hero from the stories. Leo shrugs. Is that so? Chelsea nods. Yes, I want to be a battle mage, so I need to learn more about close-range combat while I'm lacking it. Please teach me. Celia smirks. I really hope you get to experience Leo's training at least once. Leo kneels, picking up the Ring of Life. Did it really drop this ring? Suddenly, a bright light flares from the artifact. A fairy emerges. Leo's eyes widen. Prince Sillid? The fairy beams at him. Sillid, do you remember me? I'm Kyle. Sillid smiles warmly before retreating back into the ring. Leo watches in awe. So he became the Fairy King. And thanks to the treasure Albi found, he received the Eye of Mana. A countdown appears in front of them. The return sequence to the testing grounds will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In an instant, the students are transported back to the Lumian Empire. An old man peers at a piece of paper in his office. His eyes widen. This is Elian Baidian, a swordmaster and the principal of Lumen Academy. A woman beside him remarks, "It seems the exam in the Western Territory is finally over." Elian scans the report. Yes, 40 students passed. That many? But the other territories still have a long way to go. How many did Professor Albi pass this time? Taking a deep breath, Elian says, "Considering it's Albi we're talking about, I expected fewer. I was thinking 10 at most." The woman sighs. Oof, I see. So I guess either Celia or Abad took the top spot, right? Who got it? Elian hesitates. I heard it was a difficult choice, but someone was recommended as the freshman representative. Her eyes widen. Professor Albi recommended someone. That's unexpected. Was it Celia Zerdinger or Abadula Lip? Elian shakes his head. It was a name I hadn't heard before. In the broadcasting center, students chant Celia, Abad, Celia, Abad. Meanwhile, Professor Albi silently watches Leo, his gaze locked on him with an intensity unlike before. Finally, he declares, I recommend Leo Plav as the freshman representative. Discipline, night division, reason, etc. The principal furrows his brow. For Albi to speak so highly of him. I wonder what kind of student he is. Inside the bathhouse, Leo muttered, pain like this should be treated with care and time. Sinking into the warm water, he exhaled, letting his thoughts drift. How nice. He plunged his head beneath the surface, memories swirling in his mind. The clear reward was a Fairy King's pledge. But when you clear a living hero's world, you're not supposed to gain a reward. Yet somehow I alone was given one. Only me. Emerging from the water, he wiped his face and stood. Suddenly, a voice called out. What was that? Turning, he froze. His mother stood before him. Leo, she said softly, do you know why I was expelled from the house of Zerdinger? His eyes widened in shock. She continued, while rescuing a comrade, I lost the flame of Zerdinger. A pause. Then, with a resolute voice, she added, but not once have I regretted my decision. Leo lowered his gaze. She stepped closer. Leo, I want you to use your power and talent for the right cause. Her expression softened. And congratulations on being accepted to Lumen Academy. At the transfer portal, a notification appeared. You have arrived at Lemuria City. Leo stepped off the gate, collecting his belongings. He surveyed the city, the center of the world. Lemuria. His eyes landed on a distant structure. And that is Lumen Academy. A familiar voice broke his thoughts. How have you been this past month, Leo? Leo turned. Uncle Z's. Z smiled and extended his hand. Congratulations on passing the entrance exam. Leo shook his hand. Thank you. But what brings you here? Our house has been caught up in an intense debate this past month. Do you know why? Leo's expression turned serious. Have they come to a consensus on the inheritance of the Phoenix Breath? Z's nodded. Exactly. Though my elder sister is no longer a member of the house, you are her son. And the elders were impressed that you passed the infamous Western exam. He pulled something from his coat and dropped it into Leo's hand. This is a subspace key. Open it. Leo held the key up, and immediately a fiery orb surrounded it. A book materialized before him, emanating an intense aura. Its pages were blank. Stain the pages with a drop of your blood, Z's instructed. Leo bit his thumb, letting a drop of blood fall onto the book. The moment it touched the page, the glow intensified. Z smiled. Now only you can read it. Mastering the Zerdinger technique won't be easy, but I have a feeling you'll learn it in no time. He placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. Congratulations. You are now a true member of the House of Zerdinger. Later, at a tailor shop, Leo glanced around. Is this where Celia wanted to meet? Before he could step further inside, a woman collided into him, dropping a pile of books. Oh, sorry for not looking where I was going, she said, hastily gathering her books. Leo stood silently as she scrambled to pick them up. Before he could say a word, she was gone. He looked down and noticed something left behind, her ID. Chloe Mueller, freshman at Lumen Academy. Pocketing the ID, he entered the tailor shop, spotting Celia. What took you so long? She asked, hands on her hips. Uniforms, textbooks, and more. We have a ton to shop for. Sorry, Leo said. I had to meet with Uncle Z's. Her eyes narrowed. So, they've come to a decision. Leo raised his hand. A flicker of flame danced in his palm, his eyes glowing with the same fire. Is this how you use it? Fiery wings burst from his back. Celia dropped her bags. No way. It took me 3 weeks just to get a feel for the secret technique. She collapsed to the floor in disbelief. Leo, what are you? Later, at the port, a massive cruise ship loomed over the docks. Whoa, it's huge, someone exclaimed. A man leaped from the ship, landing gracefully. Nice to meet you, freshman. I'm Professor Einalandu, the one in charge of the freshman night class, he announced. We will be departing for Lumi now. Everyone board the ship. Leo studied the professor as the students hurried aboard. A glacier knight, an Lumen Academy professor. On the ship, as it sailed across the lake, students relaxed, sipping drinks and enjoying appetizers. Leo, however, remained on edge. Hey, you too, a voice called out. Got a moment to chat? Celia turned, annoyed. What do you mean, you two? We're not a couple. The boy chuckled. Name's Carr Thomas, from the kingdom of Moira. He flashed a business card. I'm an alchemist, potions, weapons, you name it. If you ever need something at school, drop by. Leo studied him. Interesting kid. He accepted the card. Leo Ploff, Kingdom of Delid. Carr's eyes widened. Delid? That means you passed the Western entrance exam. Impressive. Leo changed the subject. Am I the only one who finds this situation odd? Carr raised a brow. What do you mean? Leo's gaze swept the room. It's too peaceful. Uncannily so. Celia scoffed. A warm welcome for freshmen who passed that exam? Seems normal to me. Leo glanced at the professor, who leisurely sipped his wine. Carr shrugged. Yeah, no way they'd put us through anything rough before orientation. At that moment, the ship lurched violently. Leo narrowed his eyes. Guess that's exactly what they do. A giant tentacle erupted from the sea, slamming into the deck. Students screamed. What the hell? The ship rocked as more tentacles emerged. Professor, help! Einalandu swirled his wine, taking a slow sip. Help! He smirked. You are all students of Lumen Academy, hero candidates. When danger comes, you must overcome it yourselves. The students turned pale as, before them, a massive octopus monster rose from the depths. Leo stepped away from the desserts that had fallen onto the deck and shouted, Stay level-headed, Celia, as he slashed at the tentacles of the octopus monster. Celia scoffed. Worry about yourself, she shot back, readying her sword. The giant octopus monster began spraying massive torrents of water at the boat. Leo observed the attack and muttered, "It's a natural behavior of a kraken. It reacts to heat with water spray. This is basic knowledge," he added. Soaking wet, Celia glared at him. "Shut up." A boy screamed for help as he was snatched up by the kraken. Another student cursed in frustration. Leo, dashing up the creature's massive limb, swiftly slashed the boy free. Meanwhile, Carr peeked out from under a table, surveying the chaotic battle. This is a given, since Celia is the top scorer of the West. But how do we deal with this Leo guy? At that moment, a frozen chunk of the kraken landed next to Carr. "Hey, watch it," he yelped. More icicles formed midair as Leo recognized the girl launching them. His mind flashed back to the tailor shop when she had dropped her ID. Chloe Mueller. She launched another icicle blast, freezing one of the kraken's tentacles. "Why don't you stay in the back if you can't even protect yourself?" she snapped. Carr sighed. "Geez, the strong never care if we get caught up in their battles." His words were cut short as another severed tentacle crashed near him. This time, the Llewellyn siblings soared above the battlefield. Abad sneered. "The competition isn't over, Celia Zerdinger." Celia smirked. "The feeling is mutual." Leo and Abad exchanged glances before moving on. Professor Ina Landu swirled the wine in his glass, watching the chaos unfold. "There are plenty of monsters in the lake leading to Lumen Academy," he mused. "The Kraken is perfect for a welcoming party." He assessed the battle, silently evaluating the standouts. Chunzia of the East, Celia Zerdinger and Abad Llewellyn of the West, Chloe Mueller of the North, Walden Faden of the South, and Duran Mora of Central. "This year's freshmen are excellent," he noted, taking a sip. But his gaze lingered on Leo. "The one I'm most impressed by is that unknown freshman. His soulmanship, not a single wasted movement. He's moving as if he can predict the Kraken's actions." Ein smirked. "I'll be seeing him soon for night studies." At Lumen Academy, the students disembarked, drenched and exhausted. Carr groaned. "I ran through all my potions just on the ride here." Professor Ein hopped off the ship, still looking unbothered. "You have to cross that lake all the time. You better get used to it quickly. Now, move to the entrance hall." Lumen Academy, electric training grounds, upperclassmen murmured as they observed the new arrivals. "See? I told you there wouldn't be any normal ones. I hope there are some interesting ones this year." An announcement rang out. "Now, we will begin the entrance ceremony." Professor Ein called out, "Line up by regions. Top scorers stand at the front of each row." The headmaster will now say a few words. The headmaster stepped forward, his gaze sharp. New blood has arrived once again, carrying the hope of becoming heroes. He paused, then added, "I have only a few words for you all. If you dream of becoming heroes, always put yourself on the line. Surpass your limits." Then, without warning, he smashed the altar he was speaking from, shattering it into pieces. Those who cannot, do not belong here. The students erupted in shock and excitement. The headmaster tilted his head. Was that too much? The students shouted in response. Professor Ein smirked. The longer we teach at Lumen, the more the grand image of the Swordmaster gets shattered. Now, the announcer said, we will hear a speech from the freshman representative. As soon as the name was announced, Abad, Chelsea, Chloe Mueller, Chunzia, and Duran Mora all stiffened in shock. The freshman representative is Leo Plov. Ian Leo was caught off guard. Please come to the stage, the announcer called. Leo looked at the exam proctor, wondering, did the proctor recommend me? He stepped forward and took the speech paper, addressing the crowd. To the professors and seniors, students murmured amongst themselves. Leo Plov? I've never heard of him. The freshman representative isn't one of the top scorers. Duran Mora sat in silence, staring at Leo with unreadable eyes. Leo continued, we, the freshmen, now enter Lumen Academy as proud members of its ranks. Duran Mora clenched his jaw. Those eyes, that attitude, annoying. Leo finished, thank you. This has been freshman representative Leo Plov. The announcer nodded. Thank you, Leo. Now, Please tell us about your goals as a freshman representative. Leo frowned. Do they want me to rile up those who were almost qualified instead of me? He took a breath and spoke. If you want this spot, then come and get it. The room fell silent. Then, chaos erupted as the top scorers reeled from his words. Leo smirked, unbothered. No matter who you are, I'll crush you. Lumen Academy dormitories that evening, Professor Ein addressed the students. Good work today. Starting tomorrow, exploratory classes will begin for about a week. No matter what your desired major is, you could take any class you want. Through this process, you will choose 3 subjects to major in. He smirked. Get to bed early. You won't want to be late for your first class. Leo arrived at his dorm room, 302. Before he could open the door, Carr called out. Leo, our rooms are right next to each other. I'm excited for tomorrow. Get a good night's rest. Leo gave a nod. Yeah, see you tomorrow. He collapsed onto his bed, staring at the ceiling. What I want from Lumen is something different. His eyes wandered to the magic-infused walls of the academy. Hopefully, I'll find my hero record here. Later in the cafeteria, Leo sits eating when Carr approaches. Leo, let's eat together, Carr says. Leo nods. Sure. Suddenly, someone yells, freshman representative. A tray clatters to the floor. Leo looks up. Who is this? Duran steps forward. What you said in your speech yesterday, did you mean it? Leo shrugs. I guess my words were quite provocative. I suppose that's true if a stranger comes up to pick a fight. Duran narrows his eyes. Don't you know who I am? The Central Region Captain. Both Carr and Leo ignore him, continuing their meal. Duran grits his teeth, aura flaring. He kicks the table, sending food flying through the air. Instantly, Leo jumps from his seat, catching and assembling the food midair. He lands, somehow crafting an even better burger than before, the King Double Cheeseburger. Leo glares. Carelessly throwing away precious food is unforgivable. Duran clenches his fists. I'll pull you down from that high horse right this instant. I can't stand seeing someone weaker than me act so cocky. A firm hand suddenly clasps both Duran and Leo's shoulders. A man's voice cuts through the tension. Let's see. One is the Central Region Captain, and the other is the freshman representative. Both Leo and Duran think, when did he get here? The professor smirks. Fighting on your first day at Lumen? I guess you're ready for what comes next. Later, at the exploratory class in the night department, the professor stands in the training ground as students filter in. Excuse me, professor. Class is about to start, a student says. Celia glances around. Where's Leo? Just then, the door creaks open. A hand pushes it aside, revealing Leo and Duran, both drenched in sweat. Celia rushes over. Leo, what happened? Leo side-eyes Duran, who bites his lip. Well, it just happened. The professor claps his hands. Now that everyone's here, let's begin. Nice to meet you, freshman. I'll be in charge of first-year night studies. He shoots Leo a bombastic side-eye. Carr watches them. They're already in a full-blown nerve war. The professor continues. The 3 powers derived from mana are magic energy, soul energy, and aura. Among them, aura is the most difficult to handle. Does anyone know why? Celia answers. Aura loses its natural fluidity during the conversion process. Correct. While magic and soul energy use mana in its natural state, aura absorbs and processes it to suit the body. Now, how do we utilize the aura accumulated in our bodies? Sylvia thinks, doesn't it just come out after using some force? Leo replies, we utilize aura power by burning mana. The professor nods. Correct. And what's the most important factor when burning mana? Leo answers stamina. The professor eyes him curiously. Impressive, Leo Ploff. Have you studied aura before? I haven't. The professor thinks to grasp aura's essence without formal training. He smirks. Well then, let's put theory aside for now. How about we move our bodies? He steps onto a thin layer of aura, walking in midair. The students gasp. This is aura step. The basic principle is concentrating aura power into your legs. Its applications are endless. The students attempt aura step, some succeeding while others struggle. They practice sparring as well. Celia teases, "I'll teach you how if you call me sister." Leo scoffs, "No need. The principles of aura operation aren't that different." The professor notices Duran eyeing Leo, nervously biting his nails. He smirks. "Attention. As you all know, there was a small commotion this morning." Chelsea frowns. "What is he talking about?" Carr laughs. "It was no joke, I tell you. I saw it all." "What happened?" Chelsea asks. The professor calls out. Duran and Leo step forward. They stand at attention. "Duran Mora, what made you so angry?" Duran crosses his arms. "I wasn't angry. Take it to the track." Then the professor declares, "Central Region Captain Duran Mora and Freshman Representative Leo Plav. One-on-one running competition for the class representative spot. You may use aura without restriction." Duran stiffens in shock. Carr gathers bets. "We've got the genius of House Mora, Master of Lightning, Duran Mora, versus the mysterious freshman who suppressed all regional captains and became the freshman representative, Leo Plav." Students whisper, "He's the freshman rep, so he should show something, right? I heard he can't even use aura. How did he even get that position? Being Central Region captain isn't for just anyone." Meanwhile, the freshman rep hasn't proven anything. The professor announces, "The first to cross the finish line wins. No matter the outcome, accept it with grace." That is chivalry. The students murmur as Duran and Leo prepare. Realistically, Leo can't win, Celia thinks. But that guy, he always manages to surpass expectations. On your mark, get set. Leo and Duran tense, eyes locked. "Go!" Durham surges ahead, glancing back with a smirk. "I'm going to be first, you rookie," he taunts. His lightning-infused aura propels him forward, widening the gap between him and Leo. The crowd erupts. "Whoa!" As expected, Darren is so cool, one student exclaims. On the other hand, the freshman representative looks unbelievably bad, another scoffs. "I knew it. That bastard becoming the representative was a scam," someone else chimes in. But amidst the cheers and jeers, Chelsea yells out, "Leo Appa, do your best." Darren rounds the corner, leaving Leo behind in a cloud of dust. Watching from the sidelines, Carr mutters, Darren's already at the halfway point. But then, something catches Leo's eye. Without hesitation, he veers off the track, sprinting toward the bleachers. Celia jumps up. "Where's that idiot going?" Leo leaps onto the bleachers in 3 bounds, then pivots sharply. He focuses, channeling all of his aura into his feet. The wooden stands beneath him crack from the sheer pressure. Then, boom, in an explosive burst, he launches forward like a flaming arrow. Darren glances back, only to see a streak of fire barreling toward him. His eyes widen. In the blink of an eye, Leo shoots past him. "I'm going first, you slowpoke," he calls out, catching Darren completely off guard. As he lands, Leo skids to slow himself down, a triumphant smirk on his face. The aftermath is clear. The cracked bleachers, the stunned silence of the crowd, and Darren's dumbfounded expression. The students erupt. "Did you see that? That was no joke. Darren's supposed to be the fastest first year. But Leo beat him. But wait, I heard he hasn't even learned Aura Step." Sylvia, watching closely, narrows her eyes. "That wasn't Aura Step. That was Phoenix Step. This guy is seriously insane." Carr jumps up, fist-pumping. Leo won. Chelsea beams. "Leo, you're amazing. You're too cool." From the sidelines, the professor strokes his chin, deep in thought. Darren used his specialty, lightning aura, to boost his speed, and as expected, he was incredibly fast. But Leopold, although slower at first, his control was far superior. He gathered and concentrated his fire aura into his feet, then unleashed it in a single explosive burst. That wasn't just Aura Step. It was an incredible application of raw power. Leo approaches Darren, extending a hand. "That was a good match, Darren. If it had been a long-distance race, the result might have been different." Darren, however, just brushes past him, shoulder-checking him as he mutters, "Get lost." The professor watches this exchange, his thoughts lingering. Among this generation's students, A hero might finally be born. Chelsea practically bounces over. Leo, that was amazing. I want to train with you too. Car groans. Why is she so obsessed with Leo and not me? Celia rolls her eyes. Isn't it obvious? Car shrugs, pretending not to care. Well, whatever. Since class is over, let's hit the cafe. Everyone. Drinks are on me. The group cheers, but Leo shakes his head. Sorry, guys. Go without me. A collective what? Erupts. Car frowns. Where are you going? Leo walks off. To sit in on a summoning class. A night student in a summoning class. Car mutters. Sylvia tilts her head. I wonder what he's thinking. As Leo walks, his mind races. There's still something I don't understand. Why did the Fairy King give me the pledge as a reward? The rewards of the hero's world are linked to its owner's strength. Normally, I should have received a mana-related ability, but instead I got something tied to summoning. Even though Teacher Albie is a pure magician, not a summoner. And to contract a fairy, I'd have to go to the fairy realm. Right now, it's useless. A voice interrupts his thoughts. You're sitting in on the summoning class too? Leo turns, curious. A girl stands before him, confident, poised. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Leo, she says. Chunxia, East Region's top scorer, 17 years old. Leo nods. Nice to meet you, Chunxia. She smiles. Feel free to call me Xia. I thought you were a Night Division student. I didn't expect you to have an interest in summoning too. I'm interested in spiritualism, he replies. Her smile widens. Then we'll be seeing a lot of each other. Could you tell me what spirit you're contracted with? Leo hesitates. I haven't made a contract yet. Really? She taps her chin. Then later on, if you need help, feel free to call me. I can give you advice on spirit summoning. I'll count on you, Leo says, then pauses. By the way, how old are you? She blinks. 17. And you're 15, right? Leo blinks back. 17? She looks younger than Chelsea. She catches his stare and smirks. You just thought something rude, didn't you? He quickly looks away. No, she doesn't believe him. Anyway, Mr. Leo, she continues, I was deeply impressed by your match with Darren. You saw that? Of course. Her eyes gleam. Then, with a determined glare, she adds, one of these days, please accept my challenge too. Leo grins. Of course. She smirks back, and together, they head toward the summoning class. At the Southern Division's exploratory class, students gather atop a cliff overlooking rolling hills. The top scorer of the South and another woman turn, eyeing Leo and Xia as they enter. Neither of them look fazed. Leo scans the sparse crowd. Is this everyone? Xia nods. Well, summoning isn't a popular choice, and this is just an exploratory class. Makes sense, Leo says. But still, having it out here feels strange. Then whoosh, a powerful gust sweeps over them. The students look up. Flapping its massive wings, a black wyvern descends from the sky. Panic erupts. A wyvern? Where did it come from? Run. One student stumbles backward, trembling. Gee, get lost. A voice scoffs. It's only acting like that because it took a liking to you, Brad. A woman steps forward. Nice to meet you. First years, she says smoothly. The students gawk. I'm your summoning instructor for this year, she continues. Half the class is too distracted to listen. One student whispers, she's gorgeous. Another mutters, I want to be her summon. Leo sighs, thinking of an old friend. If Dueno were here, he would have lost his mind. The professor claps her hands together, commanding attention. All right, you little greenhorns. The fact that you're all here means you have some talent as summoners, right? Yes, the students respond in unison. Good. I like a loud and clear answer. She smirks. We're moving immediately to the practice area. Carlo. A griffin strides forward, led by a man, Carlo, the first-year summoning class associate professor. The professor continues. You'll be riding in groups of 2. Mount the griffins. The students murmur among themselves. One hesitantly speaks up. Professor, it's my first time handling a griffin. The professor's eyes narrow. Are you saying you don't want to listen to my lesson? Her voice sharpens, her patience thinning. Without waiting for a response, she mounts her wyvern and shouts. If you don't think you can do it, then go back. The wyvern spreads its wings and lets out a piercing screech before taking off in a powerful gust of wind, leaving the students stunned. Carlo steps forward, chuckling. Now, everyone, let's hurry and follow the professor. As they get comfortable, some students start enjoying the ride. He's gentler than I thought, one remarks, while another gets playfully tossed around by their griffin. Meanwhile, Zia glances at Leo. Young Master Leo, may I hold the reins? Leo nods. Go ahead. Above the shimmering lake, the griffins and wyverns soar in formation. To think we'd be allowed to ride griffins. As expected of Lumen Academy, a student marvels. Hey, let's switch now. Another whines. Just a bit longer. Be patient. Zia exhales, still gripping the reins tightly. I was worried at first, but he's much gentler than I expected. Leo, ever cautious, warns, still, it's best to be careful. Griffins are difficult to control, especially for first-time riders. But he seems so calm. Zia muses. There's a reason for that, Leo says, but before he can explain further, the professor suddenly blows a sharp whistle. The sound sends the griffins into a frenzy, their bodies trembling in agitation. They're not listening, a student cries out in panic. Why are they acting like this? Professor, help. Leo remains composed. They were listening just fine until now, he mutters. The professor folds her arms. Do you really think you can call yourself a student of Lumen Academy when you can't even handle a griffin? Control them yourselves. Zia yelps as their griffin bucks wildly. Leo quickly reaches for her waist and takes her hand. Young Master Leo, you hold on tight, he says, pulling her close. Let's go. With practiced ease, he guides the griffin, his movements fluid and precise. They ascend into the sky smoothly, as if the earlier chaos never happened. From below, the professor watches with interest. Would you look at that? Not bad, she muses. Carlo, the first-year representative, is an applicant for the night major, correct? Yes, I believe so, Carlo replies. Does he have a personal griffin back home? No, Carlo shakes his head. He's not from a noble house that would own one. Then it's pure talent, the professor mutters. Seems we have a hidden gem among us. Island of Summons, summoning majors practice grounds the students, still recovering from the griffin ride, try to regain their bearings. Leo, wandering the practice ground, inspects a fruit, finding a feather resting on top of it. His interest piqued, he picks up the feather. Zia hops off her griffin and walks over. What's wrong, young Master Leo? He tucks the feather into his coat. Nothing, the professor calls out. Stop dawdling and gather up. Leo feeds his griffin the fruit before joining the group. The professor announces, from now on, you'll be taking a practical exam. What? A test on the first day? The students murmur in disbelief. The professor's gaze hardens. Compared to the other two majors, the path we walk is much more demanding. Does anyone here not know that? Silence. In summoning, just having control over mana isn't enough. To make a contract with a spirit, you need spirit affinity. To command a summon, you require taming ability. This is why the number of summoner heroes is much lower than those in other disciplines. However, those who succeed accomplish far more. Didn't you all come here to become those kinds of heroes? The students shout yes. A girl steps forward. What kind of test is it? The professor smirks. This island is called the Island of Summons. Just as the name suggests, it's filled with various summons. A summon is a summoner's weapon, and your test is simple. Tame one. Bring back a summon from the forest. Once you make a contract, it will be yours. The students erupt in excitement. As expected of Lumen Academy, they dash toward the forest, eager to find summon. A voice calls out, stopping Leo in his tracks. Oh my, Mr. Freshman Representative. He turns to see a woman smirking at him. The rumors of your victory over Dern have spread. I suppose I can look forward to seeing you in summoner classes as well. Zia and the Southern top scorer exchange glances, caught off guard. Leo shrugs. I'm just doing the best I can, he says, walking away. The woman's sharp gaze follows him. The professor, observing the interaction, thinks it seems those students will become the key figures of his first-year class. Deep in the forest, while others struggle to tame deer and lemurs, Leo strides further into the forest. Isn't that the freshman representative? A student whispers. Yeah, but isn't he going too deep? Let him be. If he fails and gets a 0, maybe he'll return to the night major. He probably thinks summoning is easy. Unbothered by their words, Leo continues. He pulls the feather from his pocket, examining it. Suddenly, flames burst around him, engulfing the feather in his grasp. As I thought, this isn't an ordinary feather, he mutters. A fiery light flashes behind him, illuminating the forest. Meanwhile, Deland Kingdom back at the Deland Kingdom. The smell of eggs and bacon sizzles in the air. Leo should be fine, right? Reina asks, concern in her voice. Come on, Reina. A man chuckles, handing her a mug. It's only his first day of school. What could possibly happen? Back in the forest, the fire intensifies. Leo shields his eyes from the blinding heat. His breath catches. The flames shift, taking shape. One of the 3 great summons, a phoenix, emerges before him. Thanks for tuning in to No Limit Recaps. If you enjoyed today's recap, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to avoid missing any of our future videos. If you want this manhwa's next part, drop it in the comments. Got a favorite manhwa or a series you want me to cover next? Drop it in the comments below. Your suggestions keep this channel growing. You can also join our Discord for more updates, sneak peeks, and manhwa discussions. Until next time, stay limitless.